Hello Patreon, it's Julesy, and yes, we are actually redoing this video because I was taking it as a sign. I know Mercury about to be in retrograde. I guess it's trying to hit a bitch already because the power kept going out. I went to Costco, power followed me and went out there too. Couldn't even get gas the other day. And I apologize, it's a little late, but yeah, it's been hectic. Okay, so I wanted to do a video this month on body dysmorphia because as an influencer, it's definitely something that has been on my mind. Not even so much with regards to myself, it's something that I've been very keenly aware of from interacting with other influencers, and it has kind of transformed as we've come into the age of filters and how, you know, just being on social media in general, how your lens changes and your viewpoint of yourself changes. And that interview I did for my author chat with Smart Brown Girl Book Club with Kiese Layman, man, there's just so many. I mean, all the author chats are really quite amazing. But Kiese, towards the end, was bringing up the note about how do you see yourself in your dreams, and his own body dysmorphia from a black male perspective, which is heavily featured in Heavy, and it's a really, really good book. If you have not read it and you have a man in your life, or you as a man, please go read that book. It's worth it. But he talks heavily about his experience with body dysmorphia as a fat black boy in the South. And in our interview, he acknowledged that, you know, he's closer to 50 and he doesn't see himself in his current body in his dreams. He sees himself at his peak, at his younger self. And so I don't even think that, you know, my relationship with body dysmorphia is particularly unique as an influencer. I think because of how accessible social media is and how much time we all spend on the platforms, that we all have kind of come into this age of heightened body dysmorphia and really an unrealistic expectation of what a natural body should look like. I'm in therapy today. She went to get my family origin story, so like my whole, like, you know, my history or whatever. And I'm telling her, like, I have all these memories from early childhood and they all connect to food. Like, if you fed me, I remember. And food was such a big experience in my childhood because we ate dinner every night as a family. So food for me is like a Jill Scott album. Food is love, right? You know, grits. Like, if I'm breaking bread with you, if we go to eat, that is an expression of love, to be able to share this experience, this joy. And so to become an influencer, and that was my first time really being around people who like proactively were really focused on presenting a certain way and having a certain body. So coming into this YouTube space and going to like the YouTube Black and the VidCon events is very peculiar to me. And so that has always kind of been a thing, because, and not even so much just around the idea that, like, you know, people are not willing to try new things, or they nibble at their food, or they take small bites, or they only eat certain, like, you know, they don't eat well, but they eat really small amounts of whatever bad shit they're eating because they're worried about their image, which is a really odd way to go about it. But what do you do when everyone's like 21? It was just odd to me that people didn't understand the love that was within the experience of eating as a community. So that was the first thing. Now, as I get into my late 30s, right, we're in our mid 30s, into headed towards our late 30s, there has been just the reality that, like, I'm aging. And my body is aging with me. And it's not horrible. Like, I look in the mirror and I largely don't see an ugly body, right? I'm a little chunky, you know, I got up to a size 16. I was living my real good auntie life when I moved to Dallas. You know, my income started increasing. And even to this day, I eat out. I done ate out for lunch. Have me some tacos. I'm probably gonna eat out for dinner because I deserve. The thing was getting into a regular workout habit, which has happened recently within this pandemic, and expecting my body to change like rapidly, and really having to work through this idea that I really have to divest from these images that have been sold to me about how my body should perform. Because do I want to be healthy, or do I want to have this size body, right? Because then we get into all these unhealthy practices that have come in to the disguise of how to become healthier, right? So I'm working out and I still have a gut, right? And not only do I have a gut, because a lot of women are soft in the middle. That's how we put on weight, right? And I was watching, this white woman on YouTube, Lynn something, who like breaks down plastic surgery. She's had it herself, and she was breaking down the history of Kim Kardashian's plastic surgery. And what I really appreciated about her video was she was talking about how Kim is, like, her natural shape is to be soft, right? And to have fat deposits in certain areas. And that she actually wouldn't look bad if she still had her natural body. It just wouldn't be these extreme proportions that she currently has. And that even just the removal of fat from her body is really kind of extreme, because naturally, women do have fat deposits in our stomachs, right? We tend to have guts because that's where our reproductive system is at. And you have a layer of fat that naturally deposits there as a way to protect, you know, from hurtling, trauma, running into things. I don't know what the evolution said. That needed to be protected with some softness, all right? When maybe you was bumping pelvic bones a little too hard with your boo thing, all right? Protect the uterus, because everything gets co-opted. Every sort of, you know, the body positivity movement gets co-opted. The love your fupa, which is what, you know, a colloquial term for the womanly gut, right? It all gets co-opted because the fupa is always like a nice, you know, nice little onion bulb, right? It looks like a scallion. It don't hang too low. It kind of bulbs up, you know, nice, cute. And then the body positivity movement, even when we get into plus size women, is somehow these women are miraculously big titties, big ass, little wide hips. It might be a size 20, but they still have a very flat stomach. And so we constantly get this imaging that's sold to us about unrealistic body images, unrealistic body types. I have a gut that hang low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry who home? I don't know yet. But it's been like that since I was like 7, all right? I have been a size 0 in my life, and I still had some flab that hung in that area. I am just genetically predisposed to having fat that sits a certain way in that area of my body. And as I get into exercising and the unhealthy things that come up, do I want to wear the waist trainers around my waist? And all that is really doing is helping you sweat out the water weight. So I started thinking, how substantial of a change am I really gonna see? Is it really healthy? And what are the long-term complications of doing something like this? Like, we're so quick to do it because of vanity, but do I want to look Instagram ready for now? Or do I want to have a strong core and be healthy and live long? So what am I really trying to get out of this exercising? And what's helped me is I exercise with 2 other homegirls, and one of the main girls I exercise with is my homegirl Lettuce, who called in on one of my Insecure reviews. But Lettuce is a Pilates trainer. She's, you know, trained ballerina. She's a dancer her whole life. So she is kind of like muscularly toned and what I would identify as skinny. She's very slim. So when I'm talking like, girl, I'm just gonna go give me some 360 lipo. And I might be joking, but I was kind of dead ass serious because working out is the ghetto. The workout we were doing was Joey Chavez's personal trainer's workout program. And so the women that he uses in these videos are all women who've clearly had plastic surgery. And Lettuce would always, I call her Leticia, but I call her Lettuce. Lettuce would always comment when we were doing our workout. She's like, you know, I really don't like watching these girls because you can tell that they've had work done. And she would always comment on the girls, okay, this girl clearly works out, and this girl, I don't know if she's had working out, but at least she works out, and so I can watch her. But she's like, there's way too much emphasis on what is essentially fat in someone's ass. And how that fat got there, how they were able to remove the fat everywhere else on their body but still have this nice, juicy, ample ass, really shouldn't be the focus of a workout program. But I'm like, look, he's trying to sell it, and he's selling it because I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to do this workout for 30 days and I'm gonna lose a significant amount of fat in my stomach. Now, what I did was we did the workout program for 30 days and we're now into our 2nd month of doing a different workout program, and I've lost weight all over. My stomach did get smaller, but it didn't flatten. I had to really have this conversation with myself about, do I want to have a flat stomach, or can I actually look at the progress my body's making? I've been trying to get more flexible. I've been trying to build up my core and build up my knees and make sure that, you know, I have better posture and work on all these other things that we take for granted because we're so focused on this idea of, do you have a flat stomach? And it's like, why does the stomach get so much focus when your body is an entire system? And if you do anything to damage one part of your body, you weaken the lifespan of the rest of your body, right? So why would I rush into feeding into this very unrealistic image and not think about what are the long-term complications that come with it? And Lettuce is always like, you know, she trains wealthy white women who have long had plastic surgery, and she's like, the upkeep on the sort of work you have to get done because fat migrates. She's like, yeah, you can suck it from one area, but you start moving around and impacting nerves and skin cells and all this other stuff. She's like, you're gonna start getting deposits and your body gets lumpy and bumpy. And watching that video on Kim Kardashian, they have a lot of money to just keep going back to getting work done. I'm not shaming the women that have gotten plastic surgery, because as plastic surgery has become more accessible, and as part of what is the problem though, that the accessibility of plastic surgery means that more women are doing it, and we are being bombarded with this imagery of what somebody's body should look like. And one of the things of being an influencer in a space that is broadly younger than I am 35 years old, and it has been interesting isn't really the right word. It's been offensive and it's been hurtful to know that people sit on the internet and talk about my body as I've been on YouTube for the past, 12 years now, and I have gained weight and my body has changed because I'm older. And it's always talked about in this frame of, people pulling up pictures from 2010 when I was 25 to suggest that I've let myself go and I need to stop doing certain things because you can tell that I'm bloated and I'm puffy. And anytime I show my full body, the questions of, am I pregnant? In what world do you realistically live in where everyone is super thin? And unfortunately, because the lipo's gotten more accessible, it's not even that more people in our lived reality have it. It's that we're just going to see more images of more popular people with flat stomachs and skinny waistlines, but ample butts and breasts. On YouTube in the Black woman influencer space, what I've noticed is more women getting the 360 lipo or tummy tuck. And it allows them to say, okay, well, my ass is natural. I didn't get a BBL. I didn't get my butt done, but even the BBLs are real popular with the young girls. So, they get to say, oh, I didn't get a BBL. I just get, I got my weight, I got a little lipo in the tummy area. And so you still see fat in areas that are deemed as desirable. It's not to put the blame on these individual people, but it is that you're just gonna constantly see this image. And what does that tell you? Beyond social media, right? You ever watch old movies and think about how older people look? 20s and 30-year-olds, right? 90s sitcom TV shows where people are playing 25 and 30-year-olds, and you're like, wow, they look way older than the way I imagine a 25 and a 30-year-old of today. And how media in general just broadly informs the ways we expect to age. And somehow in, the late 90s, early 2000s, we started to see this transformation towards really pushing this idea of extended youthfulness. It is an output of a capitalistic society, because how do you attain a youthful glow, a youthful look as you age? A good bit of the way I've aged is genetics, but my siblings have not aged the same way I've aged. And I know there is a class stratification that's happening between the access to the things I have, whether it's skincare, I do go to an esthetician, less stress, quality of food you can eat. The things that you have access to do shape the ways in which you were able to attain a certain image or that you can sell to yourself. Now, the other layer of this is the filters that are coming in. The filters are problematic. Snapchat was a thing, and the filters in general do lower the quality of your imagery. And it's been very disheartening to see so many Black women that I think are gorgeous, beautiful, with unique looks. I love the different types of noses and the foreheads and the high cheekbones and the full lips. And I actually think there's beauty in the way we all age differently. But so many Black women who I know, love, and respect post a picture with a filter as if this is a normal picture of themselves. There was the first ooh and ah around the filters when Snapchat first came out. We were reindeers and rabbits and those types of animalistic filters, which were fun and kind of kitschy. But then the filter started to get more into a ethnically ambiguous filter. And I do think overall the ambiguity of the filters do push towards a more Eurocentric ideal of beauty. Your nose is always smaller, though now the lips might get bigger. And Snapchat filters were jarring for me, and I really didn't like, the bright eyes, the star in the middle, the super arch nose. And it was a little crazy, but to this day, I know folks that there's one or two filters that folks use on Snapchat, and this is for Patreon, so I guess we can go ahead and name names. I think Jessie Woo is a gorgeous woman, and the amount that she always posts with the filter concerns me. I have women that are makeup artists that I am cool with, that I respect, and I love their work, and I'm like, why are you always posting yourself? Why are you always posting a picture of yourself with a filter? And now we get into Instagram filters, and Instagram originally said that it was not going to allow filters that altered facial features and sold on this image of like this sort of ethnically ambiguous Eurocentric imagery, because there was a few articles that came out about the uptick in plastic surgery from people, both men and women, going in to look like the filters that they use. Because what happens is when you start to heavily rely on these filters, when you look in the mirror, you do not love the person that you see. So I went through a few of the filters that I've noticed beauty influencers use, and the black beauty influencers that I follow, and every time I see one of them use it, I go ahead, download it to see how much it changes my face. And the first thing that pops into my head is always like, I really could get a nose job. I've never thought about getting work done on my nose until I use one of these filters. So imagine if I start doing this all the time, because when I first posted it, even though I was in the video saying this filter is too much, I posted an IG story of myself using one of the filters, I still got instant comments like, well, you're gorgeous, you look beautiful, I love the look, wow girl. And you get a heightened response from this uniformity, and it's like, are we all going to become District 1 people? That is what I constantly think about. It's like how we are all reaching for like this District 1 imagery. It hurts because then it just heightens how many of us don't love the person we see in the mirror. And if I talk about my body negatively, how will I then talk about my friends' bodies, right? This messaging that I keep bringing up about creating a world of care and compassion for the black women and black queer folk who exist in my circle. If I desire to live in a world that has care and compassion, allows me to be soft and covers me and protects me, and I want to live in that world, then I also have to create that world for others. And if I'm talking negatively about my own body, what am I talking about my homegirls who are differently abled? What am I talking about when my homegirls go through fibroids and tumors and having children and all the changes that you cannot control, because we live in a world where we are being influenced by 22, 23-year-olds. Everyone wants the Jada Waiter, the Ari the Don, Ari Fletcher bodies. I mean, I don't know if anybody really want to look like Ari, but like we keep having these same images of these same girls and these same type of women, and Bernice Burgos, and this idea that you should seek to match the body imagery that has been altered by medical processes, that you should somehow within your means of your little regular life have that same sort of body, or otherwise there's nothing about your body to celebrate. How susceptible black people are to medical issues. Most of us don't have access to quality health care. People will go get lipo. They will go get a breast augmentation. They will go get BBLs because that's $3,500. And you may pay another $1,500 for the massages and the care and the body wraps or whatever. But that's a one-time fee. Medical care is a lot more expensive, right? To go have ongoing health insurance, all going to the doctor, and then what happens, because you got to go get fibroid removal surgery. I wish that shit was $3,500. Start getting into just the ways in which your body will change, and the ways in which, because of this racist society, how many of us live in low air quality, with not clean water, with where's our food being sourced from? What are the hormones and all the different things that are being pumped into all types of our food, whether we eat meat or we eat vegetables and fruit? What is the land we live on, and how has that land been attacked by capitalism and the industrialism and corporations? And then how are we existing on that land, and how is that impacting our body? This past 10-15 years, we've seen a real uptick in plastic surgery, and so I wonder what's going to happen on the other side of that in the next 20 years, where you start getting into the era of maintenance, medical issues. I don't ever take for granted the amount of people or influencers who pop up with you can't control whether or not you get cancer. Life happens, and life comes at you fast. And then because everyone wants to project this image of wealth, a very precise presentation of your body and your face, and then what happens when things outside of your control come into your life? You have to keep it hush. I've actively work towards divesting from this idea that I'm going to work towards a specific body image versus working to health. Do I have a strong core? Instead of focusing on this idea that I need to have a flat stomach and perky titties, because that's just not realistic. We do age, and it is okay to have fat. And as I was saying earlier, I kind of got diverted, but it's Patreon, so I hope y'all still rocking with me here. If I'm talking badly about my body, and as I want to create this world of care and compassion, how am I talking about my friends? How am I talking about the people that I love? And if I'm talking bad about my body, then I do not love myself, and therefore I am incapable of truly loving other people. And we really have to work towards loving our bodies and letting go of this false imagery that tells us that we have to have a unattainable, naturally body image for most of us. Because not only does it harm us, but it harms our community. People quietly deal with all sorts of medical issues, and we have the nerve to suggest that the only acceptable body type is if you have a flat stomach. How dare you put on weight, and how dare you put on weight in your stomach? And we don't realize how harmful that messaging is until it's too late. I don't think men are outside of the realm of body dysmorphia. I don't, but I think it's very realistic for men to have body dysmorphia. I started this whole video off talking about Kiese Layman and Heavy, and he heavily discusses it there. But I think it's kind of wild that, particularly to this imagery of like plastic surgery, and I keep saying lipo and tummy tucks and BBLs, but now people are like, oh, getting the female etching in their stomach, so they have that, like, what looks like a little bit of fat in the center, but no fat on the sides. Striving for this idea that women are supposed to age in a very specific manner. And if you are gonna be a little chubby, you still need to have very youthful young skin. How dare you have wrinkles? How dare you have, gray hair a little bit more acceptable, but thin hair. We keep setting all these markers for what's desirable for a woman. And it's like, baby, do you see what a 35-year-old man looks like? And it really kind of like makes it awkward when you trying to go out and meet men your own age, because most men age badly, all right? We have all this fear around aging as Black women and the ways in which we naturally age. And I think there's beauty in the way women age. The men folk, ooh. I mean, I like a little salt and pepper hair, and I like a little teddy bear, so I'm good with that. But I don't know that there is as much messaging for men about this idea of upkeep as a way in which they can be valued in society. I mean, I live in North Carolina, and I logged on a Facebook date, and I'm like, y'all niggas don't even look like y'all brush y'all teeth. Do you open your ass cheeks when you shower? That's all I'm trying to understand, is that do you? Hopefully points were made. Hopefully this was an enjoyable video. If you have more thoughts on body dysmorphia, let me know, because I think there are a lot of different ways we could talk about this theoretically. And I mean, this all goes back to like plenty of the things that we've read around Black feminist theory in the book club. Obviously, my thoughts about community and care and compassion is all about love bell hooks, right? Investing in a loving ethic and giving to people what I want in return, which means that I have to love myself first in order to love others, and then to get that back from folks. You see how that works? Boom, right at you. All right, thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any comments, questions. If there's more to discuss, we can come back and do maybe like a little live, talk about it on Discord, talk about it in the podcast. It's Patreon. Let me know how y'all want to do this, and I'll see you on the other side. Deuces.